What's up, everyone? It is February 1st, 2026. It's about 12 in the afternoon, Eastern Time. It is Sunday, everyone. So let's jump into these charts. First of all, I want to say I apologize for not recording. I've been in the middle of a production for the past few weeks, and it's been really eating up a lot of my time and a lot of my resources. So I have not been able to really do anything as far as my system goes. So I apologize for that. But I have been paying attention to this market, especially this crazy, crazy drop that just happened. Now, first of all, let's just jump into a few things of where I left off last. I wasn't along. I wasn't along in Ethereum, and I was in along in Bitcoin. I closed my long in Bitcoin, and I was actually liquidated out in my Ethereum, which is okay. I mean, what I do is I end up betting, or I end up taking a trade that works for, that has some kind of like safety risk. I mean, I'm not putting my house up for this, Instead, what I've done is I've actually left some dry powder on the side so that I could do this. So while I was playing this area, I did make a lot in this section right over here, and basically, getting stopped out over here, and then, getting liquidated out. I basically gave back some of my earnings. But in the meantime, one thing that I did in the beginning was I mentioned last month, which you should go take a look back at, one of my videos from a month ago, was I was projecting a target, and I actually left it on the Binance chart. So let's just take a look at the Binance chart, because I've been looking at the Bybit chart for a while because the Binance chart kind of messed up for a little bit. But I mentioned before that this is the target of where I think we would retest if we came back over here. And wow, look at this move that it made in the past couple days. This is insanity. Like, this is a crazy, crazy move. Now, we also have to add in this right over here, because this is basically completely down. But one thing that I did want you to notice is just how the range is working. So it's really important for you to see this. So this was the range that we were stuck in, right? And now I have these tops here that I was pointing at before. And then I was saying in the other chart, which you'll see, is that we really need to break this spot right here in order for us to actually climb a little bit higher, which I was hoping for. Obviously, I was in a long, so I was hoping for it to move up and at least touch this 50% line. But the idea is this, is that when we're in a range, until we break it and we retest, which is something that I mentioned in my last video, we can actually come all the way back down to the other side. But we are part of a bigger range, right? And that's what we were talking about back December, a month ago. You can actually check the video. I think I actually have the video up right over here. Let me just pull this over. So you can go take a look at this. This is my analysis for, let's just do that right there. This is my analysis for Bitcoin around, let's see here. Where's the date? I don't even know what the date is, but it's a month ago. You can go take a look. It's analyzing Bitcoin's drop, and you can see that I actually added some targets in here. So you can take a look at that, go back to those videos. In fact, I've had those markings on the chart for a long time. So let me just kind of pull this out for a little bit. Let me make this a little bit brighter, because while we were playing the range, I was playing that section. Let me jump over to Ethereum so you can take a look at that as well. So here's the target for Ethereum. This has been on the chart for quite some time. So you could see that, again, like, this is one thing that I was mentioning before, that I don't think that these moves are, I mean, first of all, how could I be pulling that target out right there unless it's not programmed in some kind of way, right? So while we were over here and we were moving and doing whatever we needed to do, right, it could be possible that we're going to hit this zone. Why is that? Because of this right here and because of this. And I've shown that before. On the other hand, this too is in play. So there really is a 50% chance that it's going to go up or down. You got to understand that. And that's why when I make these videos, I make these plans that are like what if scenarios, right? And that's where you really need to be, because you don't know how this chart is going to swing when it's going to do it. Like, for example, will it come down here and hit this long range, right? Now you can see I'm in the Bybit chart here. Will it hit this long range? Yes, eventually it will. Why is that? Because of this right here, this and this. This is the order block that's down here that needs to have some kind of reaction. Usually people place orders on there. So, but why would it come down here, and what would it do when it actually comes into the zone? Well, you could see that, first of all, this right here, you could see, like, let's take a look at these candles. You see how these candles are bouncing on the top, but you notice that these are underneath, right? So that means that this whole block here is really the target of where it's going to go. Now, when it comes down here, usually you take 50% of the stretch here of this order block that I've drawn, and it usually is kind of like the area that it wants to hit. But now that we've got a lot of people trading and everything, that's where the manipulation comes in, right? So what happens is like it'll overshoot and try to wipe anyone out that's targeting this section, and this section. So it tries to overshoot it, and that's where this becomes a target. So while I've been playing this range right over here, yeah, it looks like this is it. Now, one of the patterns that I've been showing you is this pattern right over here, or this pattern right over here. Now, again, I've been looking for it to do this. This is what I've been hoping for it to do. But instead, it, you know, did a fake out here. This is manipulation, right? And now it's coming down here, which again, if we break this section, we are going way lower. Now, I made another video recently that talks about the market. Like, are we going up to 150K or are we going down to about 50K? Now, honestly, here's the deal. If we lose this section right over here, this is the top. That's it. Okay, we are not getting any higher than that anytime soon. We will come down into this section, and then we will work it for a little bit, and then we will work our way back up. It is something that will happen. There's no doubt about it that we will return back to where we came from. This isn't really a blow off top. So if we take a look at some of the other charts, for example, let's go over to silver. This is what a blow off top looks like. And again, you know, I mentioned this before, that we are kind of coming to an area where this is starting to feel like a blow off top. Now, if I go over to the day chart here, you can see like how it worked. Like this is an incredible drop. It's an incredible drop. But I want you to look at it from a perspective of like an investor for a second. Someone bought the top and someone is trapped up here. Someone's trapped up here. So honestly, if there was a way to move this chart back up here so that this person can get out, that would be ideal. And usually it tries to do that, where it'll come and retest. But blow off tops we've seen before, and you could see it. I've got one actually that you could see. Here is, let's go to, where are we? Let me find it. I even forgot the name right now. I don't know why. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, yeah. TRB. TRB is a really good example of what a blow-off top really looks like and the characteristics of a blow-off top. Look at this. That's bananas. It went straight up all the way up here. This was like, I mean, look at this number, where it came from, you know? It came from around, you know, 15 to anywhere between 15 and 20, whatever. And then it skyrocketed to 555, right? And then look what happened. Gone all the way back down to where it came from. So will it revisit the top? Maybe, yeah, hopefully. Like, that's the goal, right? So someone's holding still from up here. But this is the characteristic of a blow-off top. Now, if I go over to Bitcoin, for example, and this is why I was hoping that it would go up. If we go back over to Bitcoin and we take a look, this does not have the characteristic of a blow-off top. Rather, it feels like to me that it's just one more step. So take a look at this, right? See how it came down? It retested this zone right over here. See that? And then it came back up and it retested the top. Then it came down and it rolled a little bit lower, right? To over here. And this was a retest of that top. So now if we come over here, like, look, this doesn't feel like a blow-off top. Neither does this. This doesn't feel like a blow-off top. So what I've been hoping for is that we find some kind of stability, some kind of support level that we can actually start moving up. And this move right here, honestly, it could be completely news driven. Like, there is a lot that's going on right now in the market that's just like in the world, I should say, that's absolutely bonkers, right? And Bitcoin and Ethereum, crypto in general, has not, it is detached from the stock market. While the stock market has been going up, this has been going down, right? So now that the stock market is going down, this is continuing to go down. And it very well could be that crypto finds its leg before the stock market and works its way back up. Who knows? At this point, I'm not really sure. But I do know this, is that while we are in this zone, people are scared. Okay? And usually when there's fear in the market, it usually is the best time for you to find a really good position. This is a great place to buy Bitcoin. Now, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm not a crypto maxi in that sense of like, no, let me correct myself. I do love the whole idea behind crypto and everything, like 100%. But I'm talking about opportunity, right? And that's the difference between you investing and making money and you investing and losing money. I'm not married to these positions. I don't care if, like, you know, you bought up here and you're underwater. Well, there's still an opportunity for you to make a gain over here, even though you are negative up here. Let's say you're negative 500, right? Let's say you put something over here of like plus 500. Well, if it moves up over here, you might make 500, which could eliminate both of these, right? And get your money back. But until you do that and take advantage of the opportunity, then, you know, you're kind of still stuck in the same place. So where do we go from here? Well, let me go back over to the Binance chart, because Binance has a really, really, really good chart. So let's take a look at some things that we mapped out before. First of all, this is the trend line that it was on. It broke the trend line, and this is a retest. This was also a retest. I don't know what, remember I mentioned before, I don't know where this candle came from, but this was a retest and it failed it. So at this point, it did do this, doop, doop, and now it's coming down even further. Actually, that's not a correct drawing. Let me do that again. Doop, 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 and now it's coming down. So where could this possibly come down to? Well, one, I do feel like this is still in play right here. My target, this is around the 74K mark, maybe the 70K mark. But then we have this candle right over here. See this candle? This is around the 55,000 mark. It could be very well possible that we come back into this range here and we wipe that candle out. So if I pull this out like this, this could come down over here, find some strength and work its way back up. It could even probably dip down to this one, okay, right over here. It could do that. At this point, we are in a critical moment. Now, one of the things that I mentioned was that I wasn't interested in a short. The reason why I wasn't interested in a short was because my bias is that as long as we are in this part of the range, this is more of a buy area for me. Even if it came up to this 50% line and rejected all the way back down to the bottom like it did, if I had time to take a short, I would. But again, I've been very, very busy, so I haven't been able to really concentrate on the charts too much. So I just stuck to the buy side. So now we are in this part right over here. So what is the plan now? Well, honestly, it is Sunday. The market turns on in a couple of hours at around 6 p.m., I believe, this evening, Eastern time. And I think that we might come and actually fill this target that I put in a month ago. And just so you know, I am not playing leverage right now. What I am doing is I am buying spot. And I am buying spot pretty heavy in this section right over here. I actually started to do it. I started to lay in my spot buys, and I've made some purchases a couple times at this point. And you can see on the alts are pretty devastated. You know, they're taking a pretty big hit. I mean, look, the truth is that if you're playing leverage, it's not just me that got wiped out. Unless you actually took a short, yeah, there's no way that a long could have survived this. Look at this. This is a 36% drop. I'm going to include the top here. This is almost a 50% drop from where it was. That is not including the top of where it was. So this move right here has been absolutely bananas. Wow, wow, wowie. But I do feel like we are at the end of the move. So that's important. Understand that the rules still apply, even though this was a heavy drop, right? Someone invested here and the charts will try to work its way back up to knock out these zones. And if I were to measure from here to over here, that's a 20% move. That's a great profit right there, even if you're underwater, right? Like, so think about what you can do from there. Now, let me take a look at the S&P 500. Everything's been really bananas lately. These moves that it's been doing, I mean, like, look at this. Look at these candles. Look at these drops that it's been taking. So if we are finding any kind of bullish sentiment, again, like here's an area that I would be looking to target, right? If it came back up here, this is the area I would be targeting if it broke down below. It's definitely hit the middle quite a few times, you know, and it's hard to say how the stock market will actually drive crypto at this point, but this is a banana drop move. Like, absolutely. I'm sorry for those people who have been, you know, went too heavy in and just, you know, felt the burn, man. But, you know, look here, we've got a wick there, right? And we can come down over here and actually, let me go down to the Binance chart here. Let's see how close we are to this right here. I mean, if that came down and filled out the wick, at least you're talking about a 5% drop, you know, if it does. If anything, I mean, like, if this really is like an area that we're going to see some kind of relief at this point, spot's the way to go. Unless you're willing to take that risk right over here and leave this as your, you know, your stop out. So anyway, I will be looking to make some more videos this week. My my production is ending this week sometime, so I will try to do another follow-up. For now, everyone, try to stay safe. If you do have dry powder on the side, you know, it might be a good time to start, you know, stacking in. This move right here alone is kind of crazy. And if we do end up moving down to this area or even this area right here, if we do get some kind of bounce, you know, make sure you take profit, right? All right, guys.